Well, good morning. It's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day, rounding out this week as we talk theology, as we talk about God, his character and his attributes. It's been an interesting week for me to work through this because I've gotten a lot of emails and thoughts from friends and questions and ideas. One very important email I got came after the devotional morning video thought for the day, whatever we call these things, I did on the idea of God being self-sufficient, that God doesn't need us, doesn't need anything. God is entirely sufficient on his own. We do not bring to God anything of value and merit in the sense that we give him or make him something more than he would have been otherwise. Now, my buddy Norris sent me an email about that and said, it's a great time to underscore that even though God doesn't need us, God still chooses to use us. And that is a profound point that I had left out. A classic example are video thoughts for the day, or the things you can do in your life to share God with someone else. People are not going to hear about God if God's people aren't out there speaking about God. So while God certainly I guess he could make rocks and stones speak should he choose, as Jesus said, but that's not his choice. His choice is to use us. And it's kind of cool that a God who doesn't need us still chooses to use us. And it's part and parcel with his character and makeup, which brings me to my last trait I'll look at during this time period of these video thoughts for the day. It's an Old Testament word. It's chesed. You got a little bit of clear in your throat with that. The letter in Hebrew is called a chet, but it's a ch. So chesed. Chesed. Chesed is a loaded Old Testament term. It's translated in a wide range of English words. Rooted in its foundational identity is the idea of being faithful to a covenant. In other words, you make a deal, you stick by the deal. You make an agreement, you stick by the agreement. It's rooted in a faithfulness to a covenant. But often out of that, the best English we seem to come up with for translating it is steadfast love. Because it's not just rooted in an obedience to a covenant. It's a choice and a desire that over time transformed into an idea of a love, especially where it's concerning God. Here's what I mean. God's covenant, God's agreement with humanity was pretty simple. You've got all of these things. I put them all at your disposal. Here are your boundaries. Don't cross the boundaries. If you do, you die. That was the story of the Garden of Eden. Humanity crossed the boundaries, thumbed their nose in a spiritual sense at God, and chose to do that which they weren't supposed to do. They went out of bounds. They stole God's fruit. You can put it however you want to put it. The bottom line is rebellion against God. And yet, God stayed faithful to restoring a relationship with an unfaithful humanity. That is the steadfast love. That's the chesed. That's the faithfulness to a covenant that's in our God. He's faithful even when we're not. Think about that wonderful Old Testament passage. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They're new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness, O God. The Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore, I will hope in him. Because God will love us, because God has a steadfast love for us, because as Christians understand, he will give his life for us. We of all people need to recognize that the God who chooses us, who uses us, who loves us, is worthy of all our love back. Take you into the weekend with that. That's your video thought for today.